I know there's lots of different perspectives you can view this from, but the only perspective I'm going to view it from is of alleged victims. And right now, the argument coming from Sandusky's lawyer, oh my God, he let that guy talk. It's just stunning. He let that guy give an interview. And what's up with Sandusky's wife, Carol?
I haven't seen her.
I mean, something's up with Sandusky's wife. She called one of the witnesses before he was going to testify to the, is that good?
Yeah, you were
Better?
in the dark.
All right, I was in the dark. She called one of the witnesses, Sandusky's wife, called one of the witnesses. So did Sandusky in the weeks before he was supposed to testify to the grand jury. Why was Sandusky's wife calling one of the kids who's an alleged victim of her husband's molestation? I don't know, but nobody's really, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore, so read any. I get it online. But what was Sandusky's wife doing calling? Is Sandusky lied, convinced her too? And what, really calling someone before they're going to testify in front of a grand jury? Someone who's already said he didn't want to hear from you? Sandusky? So you get your wife to call? Something's up there. So Sandusky's lawyer is now saying that they found the 10-year-old that McQueary supposedly saw, you saw all this, right? Being raped in the shower, and he says he has a totally different story. And when I hear that, all I want to do is say, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to try to imagine it from the scenario of the alleged victim. That's all I'm going to do for this. So you were molested repeatedly, probably, by a coach, an authority figure, when you were 10, 11, whatever, 9. And now you're in your mid-20s and it's starting to come out, and the lawyer for the person who molested you, and think about what molestation does. Remember, increased risk of suicide, lots of self-esteem problems. I'm not saying everyone who was molested is broken for good, because I've sort of been in online discussions with people, and people are saying, no, actually, I was repeatedly raped when I was 6 or 7, and after years of therapy, I've got I'm not broken forever. I don't like thinking about that. I don't like it when people say all molestation victims are broken forever. So I understand that. However, there is a dramatically increased risk of suicide among people who've been molested. It's higher if you were repeatedly molested. And there are definite self-esteem problems and relationship problems and all kinds of other stuff that go along with that. And so you're in your mid-20s dealing with this legacy. You may or may not even have allowed it to become something that you deal with consciously yet. And suddenly it's international news. And now the lawyer of the person who allegedly molested you is calling and saying, do you remember when you were 10 years old and naked in the shower with your coach? Did anything weird happen then? That's what the lawyer is asking us to believe, that they figured out who it was, which of the many people Sandusky was showering naked with, Carol, which of the many young boys he was horsing around. His lawyer actually said that he's just a big kid at heart, an overgrown kid. I swear to God, Carol, overgrown kid came out of the lawyer's mouth to describe Sandusky, his client. Oh, it's just horsing around, an overgrown kid. So they figured out which of the many naked 10-year-olds that this overgrown kid was horsing around with in the shower, and contacted him and say, he hasn't come forward yet. And boy, see, the victims, just think of this kid. Even if nothing happened, think about what's being asked of this kid. To come forward and testify by the lawyer that when we were playing around naked in the shower, me and Sandusky, nothing really happened. Oh, it's just, casual horseplay.
How old is the kid now?
Mid-20s. 2002, he was 10, right? Early 20s? No, 19 maybe, I guess. Yeah, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, 9 years. That's all I'm saying. That's all I ask is that people take time to just think about it from the, as all the Nancy Graces of the world are going crazy, just take time to think about it. Think about the emotional and manipulative relationship that goes on between repeated abusers and the people that they repeatedly abuse. Think about how that, that messes with your head as a victim, repeatedly being abused by an authority figure that you trust when you're 10, 12, 15, 8, 5, whatever. And now think about what that would mean to revisit it when you get a phone call from the lawyer when this is suddenly international news. And now Carol McQuarrie, the guy that saw the 10-year-old, he said, being anally raped in the shower. McQuarrie sent an email to a couple of friends of his saying now, well, no, of course I stopped it. I didn't physically intervene, but I made sure it was stopped before I left. Did you see that, Carol? That's the latest. McQuarrie, now that he's become an international object of complete scorn for not reporting this to the police and calling his father and then reporting it to the authorities at Penn State and leaving it, now has sent, not publicly through a public statement, he sent an email to a friend of his saying, do with this what you want, but I did make sure it was stopped before I left. I didn't physically stop it, but I made sure it was stopped. And then I contacted the campus police and the police. That's what this email that's being spread around from McQuarrie's friends now, not through him directly, to the world, which is judging him. And this is where I'm trying, Carol. I'm trying. I don't want to judge too quickly. But boy, is it really hard in this case. He's now sliding an email sideways to a buddy of his saying disingenuously, that's a word for you kids, do with this what you want. But I made sure it was stopped and contacted the campus police. Now, Carol, he did not tell the grand jury that he contacted the campus police. That's not in the grand jury report. It's very difficult for me to imagine the grand jury not asking him, did you tell anybody else? You called your father, you told Paterno, did you tell anybody else? I find it almost impossible to believe the grand jury didn't ask him that question directly. Nowhere in his grand jury testimony is there any report that he spoke to campus police or anybody else. And yet, now that he's an international object of complete disgust, he says, well, I made sure it was stopped, and now I called the police. All right. So, it's holiday time, Carol. How much time we got? Just about 9 minutes? All right. Can I just say that one of the things that I really thought was great about the, do you know about Krzyzewski, Carol, right? I was trying to find the front page of today's paper, but I left it at work. Krzyzewski, they said, is like got the record for men's basketball wins. You know this, Carol, right? But you know why they have to say men's? Because there's a woman who has far more. I didn't know this, but I love the fact that there's a woman basketball coach. And so Krzyzewski's getting these headlines that are just like, well, for men, he's got the most wins. I love that.